ating topic for today is something that transcends any boundaries, religion, address, economic status, ano man ang ganap natin sa buhay. Because after all, we are living in just one planet Earth. As we always say on Zero Waste Baguio, we do not have a planet B.
Well, today, gusto lang po naming magpa-second opinion, third opinion, or fourth opinion, and to listen to trusted voices.
Everything else I'll say from now on will be about thermal waste to energy. As I mentioned, you can divide them between the combustion type processes, the gasification type processes, the pyrolysis type of processes, and another technology which relates to all of these which is the production of refuse-derived fuel, or RDF. RDF is a way to get the waste, to dry it up, to chop it up, to compress it into pellets, and it then gets burnt or processed in one of the technologies, one of the three technologies mentioned above. So there are waste-to-energy technologies that are viable, but there are waste-to-energy technologies that are very problematic. All thermal waste-to-energy plants produce at different levels these types of pollutants. They produce, for example, toxic air pollutants, including particulate matter, including carbon monoxide. They produce acid gases coming out of the waste-to-energy plant that they're living with. When I went to Japan with now Vice President Sara Duterte, and the Japanese were trying to sell Davao one of their incinerators, one of the things they were saying was, look, you don't see any smoke, you don't see any pollutants. And I had to say aloud, the problems that we are faced with that have severe health effects from these incinerators cannot be seen by the naked eye. It's ironic that waste-to-energy incineration is now being promoted even by our government, by some departments within our government, in particular the Environmental Management Bureau, even though it emits the most toxic chemical pollutant known to science, dioxins, is the worst of all. And that dioxin comes out in the air, it comes out in the wastewater, and it comes out in the toxic ash. What are the health effects of dioxins? This is the other worrisome thing about dioxins. We consider it the most toxic compound known to science because of its very low LD50. But the other thing that's worrisome is, unlike other toxic chemicals, it has many health effects. First and foremost, cancer, soft tissue sarcoma. It causes non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a form of leukemia. It causes cancer of the upper respiratory tract, tracheal cancer, laryngeal cancer, and so on. And more recently, linking it to prostate cancer. What else? There are also endocrine disruptors. These are chemicals that mimic the hormones in your body, and so they can cause all sorts of havoc to the reproductive system. One of the biggest problems of waste-to-energy is called the lock-in effect. Lock-in effect is the requirement that once you commit to waste-to-energy, your community is also committing to providing the waste-to-energy plant a minimum amount of waste every day to be burnt into that plant for its lifetime. I need to say something about the alternatives. Open dumping is not an option. Landfills are also not the best option because we don't have much land. A thermal waste-to-energy, as I hope I've convinced you, is a false solution. Therefore, we need to look at other alternatives, and one alternative is called zero waste. Some of you are familiar with the waste hierarchy. This is the zero waste hierarchy. But the first thing we need to do is to at least enforce and implement what's already in the books. What's ironic is I helped write draft the solid waste management laws for countries like Armenia, India, and then the irony is I also helped in Buenos Aires in Argentina. And then when I looked at our own laws, I realized that RA 9003 was better than the ones that I was helping other countries in doing. And yet we are not, so few barangays in the Philippines are even enforcing it to this day. We need to do this, you know, and it can be done. As I mentioned, for about 10 years, I was the lead consultant for the people from the US who would recognize EPRI, Electric Power Research Institute. We had a project looking at waste-to-energy. We looked at it. We looked at technologies from Sweden, from Japan, all throughout the US, from Canada, and so on. Maybe I am safe to be able to say not a single one of them succeeded. In Dumaguete, we have a pyrolysis incinerator, pyrolysis gasification incinerator. I guess I can mention this, that a journalist went there and was very curious. I have never seen it and haven't been allowed to go inside. But he asked the operator if he could open the primary chamber. So he opened it, he closed it, and he was in the hospital for how long? For 3 weeks. We have to be really careful of the people who are trying to sell this to the Philippines. I mentioned that I was with now Vice President Sara Duterte when her whole team from Davao went to Kitakyushu, Japan, and they were being sold the technology. So on that last day was my only chance to ask questions, and the first question I asked is, I'm looking at the air pollution control equipment that you have. Why is the technology that you're selling to Davao, why doesn't it include the catalytic converter prior to going to the stack? And their response was, it's because we only use that when we're selling our equipment to Europe or other places in Japan.
Waste-to-energy needs a flat land of at least 10 hectares, 5 to 10 hectares, which we do not have. At the same time, it definitely defeats the purpose of our segregation at source. Kasi ang talagang waste-to-energy, more waste, welcome, ganon.
Since we live in a rural area, na parang ang pagsusunog ng basura, it's kind of a norm before. Kaya upon seeing this, it's a bigger issue. It's something that is actually endangering the environment.
We have been saying that waste-to-energy is actually a misnomer. And of course, as a chemical engineer as well, I agree with all the presentations. We have been always worried of the dioxins, the furans, and all the other pollutants that will be coming from a WtE project.
As for indigenous peoples, if, for example, you have a waste-to-energy plant in an ancestral area, this will definitely affect indigenous communities, their health, their livelihood, their land, especially.
After listening to you, and after looking at all this empirical data that you presented, I would like to officially declare that the city of Baguio will be formally abandoning its waste-to-energy project. And we will be coming up with a resolution recalling our feedstock agreement with the proponent.
At the national level, a pending waste-to-energy bill is being discussed. We hope that legislators will support progressive communities and local executives like Mayor Magalong, who want to make sustainable solutions to solving waste issues by rejecting measures seeking to institutionalize the use of waste-to-energy.
Sa buong mundo po, zero waste is happening. And this is happening here in Baguio City. And what an inspiration for Mayor Magalong to be here and to be direct to us and for the Zero Waste Baguio people, the amazing Zero Waste Baguio volunteers to be doing this with their fellow comrades and colleagues. So, ipadayon, in Bisaya, ituloy natin ito, and let's achieve a Zero Waste Baguio. Daghang salamat.
Wala tayong basura. That's why it's in quotation marks, because there will be no waste if we are responsibly managing our resources, even right from the very beginning. Gets natin? So from the time that it is produced until the time it is manufactured, and so therefore, ano na yung i-manage mo ng waste kasi kung gagamitin mo pa ulit-ulit. Yun po ang kwento ng ating so-called waste. For me, it's not waste, it's a resource. So ang kinapan ko lagi is, it is not waste until you waste it.